guys, it's me Anna, and for this week's video I decided to do something a little bit different and show you 5 of my favourite nail polish colours to wear in the summer and 5 of my favourite books to read in the summer. And so let's just get on with it. Here are the 5 recent books that I've read, and the first one is this book by Wendy Mass called Twice Upon a Time, Beauty and the Beast. And you might be thinking, why would you read Beauty and the Beast? It's probably just a fairy tale, but it's actually a twist on the fairy tale, because although this girl's name in the cover is Beauty, she is completely the opposite. She's very ordinary, she likes reading and picking up odd objects, and she's completely the opposite of what you would presume a person with the name Beauty to look like. And this guy on the back, his name is Prince Riley, and basically he's also the opposite of what a prince should be. He's not athletic, he's definitely not charming, he's just a boy who likes astronomy and playing bagpipes really badly. And this story doesn't really have anything to do with them connected, it's just the story is 2 stories running parallel to each other. So one chapter, it will be based on Beauty's half of the book, and the other chapter will be based on Riley's part. So I found that really interesting, how despite being one book and expecting it to be a love story, it's not. It's completely the opposite to a love story, and it's basically just 2 parallel stories in the one book, which I really like. It's very, very different, and honestly quite amusing and humouring to read. I definitely recommend it. It's lighthearted, it's funny, and this is just one of the books in a series of, I think, 3. Yeah, there's only 3. So it's a book in a series of 3, which is called the Twice Upon a Time series. So there's Rapunzel and Sleeping Beauty. I haven't read those 2, but I got this back when I was in year 6, so that is roughly 4 years ago. Yeah, that's 4 years ago. But till this date, I still love reading it, and I probably will read it again for the 2nd or 3rd time. I'll read it again, that's for sure, that's all I know. Second book, well, 2nd and 3rd book, are part of a series called the Maze Runner series. Okay, so if you can't already tell, I'm slightly, maybe, kinda obsessed with the Maze Runner series. So let's talk about the first book, shall we? The first book is obviously called The Maze Runner. What happens in this book is this boy named Thomas is brought up into this place called the Glade, which is a massive maze. and there are about, I think, 12 or 13 people there already, and they're called the Gladers. And it's basically just a group of teenage boys who have been stuck in the Glade, and they know nothing about themselves except their name. If you love adventure, thrilling novels, I definitely recommend it. It's definitely I said definitely so many times in that sentence, but it's a massive page turner. Definitely recommend it. Yes. And it says up the top, a must-have for fans of the Hunger Games. So if you like the Hunger Games, read it. So, continuing on with the Maze Runner series is the second book in it. It is called Scorch Trials. I've always said Trails. I don't know why, but every time the I and the A would just switch places and I would read it as Trails. But it's supposed to be Trials. This book is basically continuation of Maze Runner, obviously, and in this book they reach this place called the Scorch, and the Scorch is basically the world outside the maze. They have to try and figure out how to save the world, because not only is the world burning, it is taken over by this disease called the flare, which is a deadly disease that is taking the world by storm. And Thomas and his gang of Gladers have to help him figure out a way to stop the flare and stop the Scorch from ever happening again. Don't do that thing where you watch the movie first, because I have friends who have done that. They say, oh, it's okay, I won't read the book, I'll just watch the movie. No, you can't do that. You can't just say, oh, I'll watch the movie, because the movie is so different to the book. Read it first, then go and watch the movies.
Excuse me, I'm nearly done. Okay, cool, where are you? Oh, here. Like here? Okay, and I'm nearly done. So, very cool. You know what? I decided to wear this shirt because I like this filming angle, and if I was going to stand up, I'm going to start having for a second, and this gives it like a comfy hanging look, as if we're doing like a pajama party. Beautiful. So I've talked about this week, gone quite, with expression and stuff, and I'm talking about how I hate how movies completely write books. Okay, that's the end of it. Bye!
As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by my mum, and my fourth and fifth books are by the same author. He's an amazing author, and I think he really speaks to our generation, which is teenagers. If you don't know, I am 15, so I classify as a teenager. Everybody, say hi to my cat. She keeps interrupting me. It's John Green, and if you haven't read anything from John Green, where have you been? What have you been doing all your life? I mean, what have you been doing? Anyways, I love John Green's books. I love the way he writes. These two are my favorites so far. I don't know, but yes, these are my favorites from John Green so far. And first book is Looking for Alaska, and at first, when I first bought this, I was like, Alaska. The guy's probably gonna go travel to Alaska and do something interesting. But then I thought, no, it's John Green. It's never gonna be the first thing you think of. I was right. It is definitely not got anything to do with the country of Alaska. It's actually got to do with a teenage girl named Alaska Young, and this young boy named Miles Holter. And basically, in this book, what happens is Miles has always liked Alaska for a very long time, and Alaska is a very reckless young girl. Her world is very reckless, and it is full of, she smokes, she drinks, and she's basically a bit out of control. And Miles, on the other hand, is a very big nerd, and he, stays home, he studies, he reads, and things like that. Alaska draws Miles into her life, and Miles starts falling for her. He starts having more feelings than he did before for her, and basically his life is never ever going to be the same because of this young girl named Alaska Young. I recommend it for people who haven't read it, and I think it's a great introduction to John Green's type of writing, because this is basically how John Green writes in a nutshell, and I love it. And the fifth book 5th book, is An Abundance of Catherines. Now, this was a kind of a weird book to read, mainly because the main character in this book, his name is Colin Singleton. Now you might be thinking he literally has the word single in his last name. You might think he's destined to be forever alone. Dated 19 Catherines. How? I don't know, but he has. And so Catherine needs to be spelt Kathereines. If it's not spelt exactly like that, he's not going to date you. Sad life. He's amazing in all his subjects, especially maths. Do you see where I'm going at you with this? So because he's so good at maths, and because he's coming up with this theorem of underlying Catherine predictability, this book has a series of maths sums. There we go. You see that one there? That's a maths sum. And so is this. This book is full of them, and honestly, I found that so interesting. I couldn't get over it. The first time I read it, I'm like, why is there a math sum in here? But there is. And for people who don't understand maths, especially diagrams with these little wiggly things, they've explained the diagrams for you. Yeah. Anyways, that's it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little new thing that I did. If you want to know more about some of my favorite books or the things I love to read, let me know in the comments below, because I love reading and I love talking about books and explaining and recommending books to everyone. So if you liked these types of videos, please let me know in the comments, because I will happily make some more. So yeah, as usual, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you would like to see a bit more of my books or like my book recommendations or something, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. The button will be floating around right here. And that's it for this week's video. I'll see you guys all next week. Bye!